I always knew I wasn't the favorite. In our house, everything revolved around my sister. Her dreams, her choices, her happiness, while mine were always pushed aside like they could wait forever. Don't miss out on the journey. Subscribe and let's grow, laugh, and learn together. When she got engaged, my parents turned her wedding into a grand $38,000 event with a luxury venue, designer dress, and every expensive detail you could imagine. And somehow they expected me to quietly support it. Not emotionally, but financially when I calmly refused and told them I wouldn't pay for something I never agreed to. The atmosphere shifted instantly. My sister called me selfish. And just like that, I was the villain again. Days passed with tension hanging in the air until I started getting repeated calls from unknown numbers, which I ignored at first. But when I finally answered one, a formal voice told me they were calling about my outstanding wedding balance. And my heart nearly stopped as I asked, "What balance?" Only to hear them say the full $38,000 bill was under my name. My name. And in that moment, everything inside me went cold because I didn't need proof to understand the truth. "I think it's time you explain this," I said, placing the printed invoice on the table with a calm I didn't feel, my fingers steady even as my chest burned. Because this time, I wasn't here to argue. I was here to end it. My mom barely glanced at the paper before waving it off like it was nothing. My dad leaned back in his chair, annoyed, more than concerned. And my sister didn't even look up from her phone as she muttered, "You're overreacting again," but I didn't raise my voice, didn't repeat myself. Just slid a second document forward. Bank alerts, email confirmations, a copy of the signed agreement with my name forged so cleanly it almost looked real and said quietly, "Read it properly." And that's when the room shifted because silence hit first, heavy and sharp, and then confusion crept across their faces like they were trying to understand how something they thought was buried had suddenly surfaced. "What is this?" my dad asked, his voice no longer confident, and I met his eyes without flinching. "That is fraud," I replied, letting the words sit there between us, uncomfortable and undeniable. My mom's tone turned defensive instantly. "We're your parents. Don't use such big words." But I didn't react, didn't just leaned back and said, "You signed my name without permission, attached my identity to a $38,000 liability, and expected me to just accept it." My sister finally looked up, irritation flashing across her face. "It's not a big deal. You have money. Just pay it and stop being dramatic." And that was the moment something in me completely disconnected. Not anger, clarity. "No," I said, simple and final. "I won't be paying anything." My dad scoffed, trying to regain control. "You think you can just walk away from this?" And I held his gaze steady, unshaken. "I already have," I said. Then calmly unlocked my phone and placed it on the table, screen facing them, an email thread open, legal language clear, timestamps precise, and at the top the name of the lawyer I had contacted the moment I got that call. My mom's face lost color. My sister sat up straight now, tension replacing arrogance, and my dad's voice dropped. "What did you do?" he asked, quieter this time, careful. And I didn't rush my answer. I let the silence stretch just enough before saying, "I reported the unauthorized signature, flagged the contract, and submitted evidence." The words landed heavier than any shouting ever could. My sister's voice cracked slightly. "You wouldn't actually do that to your own family," and I tilted my head slightly. "Not cold, not cruel, just done." "You already did it to me," I replied. And that was when the panic started to show. Subtle at first, then undeniable. "We can fix this," my mom said quickly, reaching for the papers. "We'll call them, we'll explain." But I shook my head slowly. "It's already under review," I said. My tone still even, still controlled, because this wasn't a reaction anymore, this was a decision I had made. The moment I realized how far they were willing to go, my dad stood up now, frustration turning into urgency. "You're making a mistake," he snapped, but I didn't move. Didn't match his energy, just responded with the same quiet certainty. "No, I'm correcting one." And the room fell into a different kind of silence. Then the kind that comes when control slips away, and there's nothing left to grab onto. My sister whispered something under her breath. My mom looked like she was calculating damage, and my dad, for the first time, didn't have an answer. Everything they thought they could hide behind family pressure, guilt, it was all collapsing in real time. And I wasn't raising my voice, wasn't demanding anything, wasn't even angry anymore, just watching it unfold with a calm they didn't recognize because they had spent years thinking I would always fold, always give in, always stay quiet. But not this time. I stood up slowly, gathered my things, and paused just long enough to look at them one last time before saying, "You should probably answer when they call next." And without waiting for a response, I walked away, leaving them in that silence they created themselves. I didn't go back to argue, explain, or fix anything for them. Because for the first time, I understood that not every relationship deserves another chance. Some just revealed the truth you were meant to see. The calls started coming within hours. First from them, then from unknown numbers again, but this time I already knew what it meant. The review had moved forward, and the pressure they once tried to put on me was now circling back to them exactly where it belonged. My mom left voicemails filled with forced calm. My dad sent short messages telling me to handle it quietly. And my sister, she went silent because even she knew there was no way to twist this into her favor anymore. But I didn't respond, not out of anger, but out of clarity because I wasn't their solution anymore. Days later, I got confirmation that the contract had been flagged as fraudulent and removed from my name. My liability erased like it should have been from the beginning. And in that moment, I didn't feel victorious. I felt free. I didn't celebrate. Didn't confront them, didn't even look back. Because closure doesn't always come from winning. Sometimes it comes from walking away without carrying what was never yours to begin with. I changed my number, tightened my boundaries, and chose peace over proving a point because they didn't need another argument. They needed to face the consequences of their own choices without me standing in the middle of it. And as I moved forward, quietly rebuilding a life that no longer included their control, I realized something simple but powerful. I didn't lose my family. They lost access to